Shout out to the old me.
To address the elephant in the room, Snow is hot. He just is. I don't even think that's the unpopular opinion. People are thirsting. They're making jokes about Snowlands on top. That is not what I'm here to say. The curls, it's good. I don't like the buzz cut. He just kind of starts to look like Eminem, but start of the movie, I'm into it. Every time I see an edit of him to Get Him Back by Olivia Rodrigo, straight to the bookmarks, straight to the favorites. But then I remember he killed Finnick Odair and I take a step back. I saw The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Whew, that's a mouthful. Anyways, I saw it a couple days ago and it was a lot better than I thought it was gonna be. I loved the book. Same thing with the book. I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it. Listened to the audiobook and it was fantastic. Probably one of my favorite things I read this year. And then the movie was really good as well. Now, this movie is long. It is almost 3 hours, but I found it was kind of fine. I did need to stretch my legs out a bit after, but it didn't particularly drag for me anyways. I know a lot of people have kind of been saying, oh, why didn't they choose to split it into 2 parts? But I think they knew they couldn't really rely on people, you know, the casual viewer, the general audience, to sit through something titled Part 1. But if they were a Hunger Games like casual fan back in the day, you know, maybe they read the books once, saw the movies a couple times, or just even if they saw the first movie or read the first book for school, they might see a Hunger Games standalone and say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna check this out. Why not? And honestly, it is very well paced considering how long it is. It kind of feels its length, but I never found myself getting bored. I never felt myself thinking like, okay, let's wrap it up now. I would watch it again in a heartbeat. It's good. I've sat through longer movies. I found they do a really good job at making you be invested in the characters, in their journeys and whatnot. And the performances across the board were so good. Obviously, Peter Dinklage and Viola Davis, they are legends. They killed it. Rachel Zegler, I knew she had the most beautiful voice from West Side Story, but she really killed it in this as well. The scene where she's the last tribute, but they're not letting her out yet, so the snakes are slowly crawling up on her and she's singing her last-ditch attempt to try to calm them and just kind of hold them off in time for them to hopefully let her out of the arena. She does this really amazing thing with her voice where it doesn't lose its power, but it's still shaky and fearful. I can't even explain it, but I was entranced by that scene when I was sitting in the theater. It was so amazing and not really the type of song I'm just gonna like casually listen to, but I have found myself in the days since I saw the movie listening to it a little bit, just trying to relive that moment from the movie because it was one of my favorites by far. Tom Blythe was also super good as President Snow. He could have fallen into the emo, pretty sad boy, Anakin Skywalker type of thing. But he showed a lot of range. Like he went above and beyond with the material he was given. Snow always had that ambition and the want for something more, but at the start he is just kind of a guy and he did a really good job of showing his descent into the villain we know he turns into. And he has his sweet moments, like when he tells Lucy Gray that he ate a jar of paste and she asked what it tasted like. He gives her a little smile and says pasty. And I was so charmed by it. Like it was just so sweet and wholesome and a really nice moment between them. But then he is also terrifying at the end of the movie. And when you see how little it took for him to completely turn on everyone in his life, he left me wanting more, you know, give me a sequel with more of Snow's backstory. It was just a really strong performance and he was the perfect casting. There weren't really any changes that particularly bothered me, which I feel like is rare for a book adaptation for something that I loved. I know Lucy Gray, you don't really see a ton of her at the start of the games. Coriolanus is just kind of you know, left wondering because there aren't cameras underground in the arena. So it's good that they added that in the movies because it would have been super boring. Sejanus's mom had some nice moments in the book that I would have liked to see, but I understand if you got to cut things for an already very long runtime, it makes sense why that had to go. I would have liked to see more of Clemencia as well. She's maybe not Snow's bestie, but he hangs out with her a lot and she's just in the book a ton. You don't really see much of her after she's bitten by the snake and whisked away in the movie, so it would have been nice just to see a bit more of her before and after the snake attack because she is around. She was paired up with Reaper, who was one of the strongest tributes, so it also would have been interesting to see more of their dynamic. I believe it's the book, she might mention this in the movie as well, but Reaper doesn't even want to speak to her, so it would have been, I don't know, kind of interesting to expand on that dynamic instead of take away from it. But again, I know they didn't have a lot of time. They had to make cuts where they saw fit, so it makes sense that side characters had to go away. This is something really scary and gruesome from the book that would have made this already dark movie even darker, because I don't know what you guys think, but I definitely thought this movie was a lot darker than the original trilogy. I think it's because the brutality of the games and how dehumanized the tributes are, dumping them into a cage at the zoo to have people gawk at them before they are all sent off to their death is insanity. It is such a sickening detail in the books, so I understand why they cut this even more sickening thing. But the scene I'm talking about is Arachne Crane's funeral. Obviously the capital, the school, everyone's in mourning, everyone is up in arms, and during her funeral they are parading around the deceased body of Brandy, who was her tribute that was murdered after she murdered Arachne. And just such a brutal scene and a brutal thing to do with teenagers, like absolutely insane. And just the Capitol saying, you thought this couldn't get worse, we just made it worse. I understand why they cut that. I don't even think I would have wanted it in the movie, especially because we already have what they do to Marcus, hanging him in the arena, just waiting for death. So yeah, you still get the brutality across. This is just really hammering the point home in the books. So while I think it was important to the plot as a whole, I do see why they might have said, you know what, this is overkill. I loved how they left the ending for Lucy Gray open-ended the way they did in the book. I wasn't expecting them to do it, but I knew there was like a tiny sliver of a chance that maybe they would show her running away. So you're confirmed, like, oh, Snow didn't get her, Peacekeepers didn't get her, she's on her way to freedom. So I'm glad. It's not even clear if Snow actually sees her. You see a flash, but you know, he's been bit by a snake, he could be hallucinating. So I'm really glad the ending was open-ended, and I'm glad Snow, the last shot of him, his face looking super evil, I'm glad we just ended it simply like that, and then Donald Sutherland's voice over top before the credits rolled. Great, just what a good movie. I loved it so much. Maybe I'll take my mom. I kind of want to watch it again. So let me know what you thought of the movie in the comments. Let me know what more you want to see in the Hunger Games universe, because I know me, like everyone else, I would do anything for a story about Haymitch's games, Finnick's games, Annie's games. I just want more content because I love these characters. I think this universe is so fleshed out and scary, and I enjoy reading about it. So Suzanne Collins, if you see this, please give us more, because I'm super fascinated by this whole universe, and I know I'm not the only one, and I just want more Finnick O'Dare because he died too soon. Thank you so much for watching and hearing out my thoughts on the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. If you want to see more book content, feel free to subscribe, like this video, and I will see you next time. Bye!